Hey team, looks like this is the week we've been waiting for. We got inflation news, jobs data, FOMC, and we got Fed Powell speaking on interest rates this Wednesday. So it looks like WIM is about to experience some serious volatility. Let's break down everything you need to know heading into week two of the June trading month on the Dow futures. So starting off with the current market conditions, looks like YM closed on Friday around 42,200 right here. It was a recent breakdown from 42,950, which was a resistance. Looks like price double topped right here and it came down over here until it closed. Looking at this so far, it looks like technical bias for the week is going to be bearish to neutral heading into CPI and the Fed. So, with the key economic catalysts for this week, there's 2 days that are going to be particularly important. We're going to have retail sales and jobs data on Tuesday. That's probably going to push price around a little bit. And then on Wednesday is the big day. So, Wednesday we have FOMC. That's going to be interest rate day. So, on that day, wait for the press conference to follow the news release, right? The news release is probably going to spike price, but during the press conference, you want to see what Jerome Powell says with regard to the interest rates, right? Because it's probably not going to change this month, but it's probably going to change the following months. So you want to look for clues regarding where the interest rates are going to change and when they're going to change. They're going to drop at some point, right? But we just don't know when. It could happen this month, next month, the month after. We don't really know. But once that does happen, you're probably going to see price spike to the upside. So moving on to critical levels to watch. Starting off with the resistance, we have resistance up here between 42,950 and 43,300. It's this big red zone up here. Looking down over here, we have support between 42,100 and 41,600 down here. And lastly, we have the VWAP key zone, which is going to be right here at 42,170. So if price pushes away from this area, look for price to pull back to this key zone right here. Push up right there. Maybe if price pushes below, look for it to pull back to this blue area right here. All right, with that said, now we have three scenarios to look out for once news starts to hit this week. So if news is soft, look for price to push to the upside, right? Look for bulls to rally possibly towards 43,300, which is going to be our resistance. And once price reaches this area, look for price to either bounce off it or break above and continue pushing up higher. Second scenario is if news is hot, look for price to flush below 42,000 and onwards to 41,600, which would be our support, right? So if that's the case, price may push below here, retrace, break and retest, push down to this support level, and then once it reaches this point, either push back into the range or push below here and continue dropping from there. That's second scenario. The last scenario is if we get mixed data, expect some chop to happen between this area right here in the middle, right? Price is probably just going to stay around here and not really move away from it. Next up, let's take a look at the trading strategy game plan for this week. So first and foremost, use event-based trading windows, meaning don't trade news, but trade before news or after news, right? Not right before or right after, but way before when the volatility is kind of normal, or after once market has reacted to the news. Don't trade 10 minutes before or 10 minutes after, and definitely don't trade when news is released. Unless you're trying to gamble your accounts, obviously, you're pretty much taking a huge gamble if you trade news because you're not really going to be sure whether price is going to spike up or spike down. Next up, prioritize liquidity sweeps this week. So I'm going to expect market to kind of range on the days other than news. So like, for example, Monday, probably going to see some range to here down the middle. Right before news on Tuesday, probably the same thing. Same thing on Wednesday, before news. Once news happens on Wednesday for FOMC, possibly look for price to push in a direction, right? If it's like hard one way. If it's mixed data, it's probably going to be choppy. You're probably just going to see some more ranging. So that's going to be more opportunities for sweeps. And my sweeps are probably going to happen either up here around the resistance zone or down here at the support zone. Those are probably going to be the main areas I'll be looking for trades. Sweeps up here and sweeps down here. Next, you want to look for possible scalping opportunities around the VWAP rejections, right? So again, look for sweeps around this area. If price pulls back to the VWAP right here or the regular VWAP, look for price to kind of bounce from that area, pull back into the range. Vice versa, price pushes up here and the regular VWAP is up here. Look for price to maybe get near the resistance, bounce there and pull back into the range. That's going to be my main criteria for this week. I'll be looking for some MPS V2s, but for the most part, I'll probably be looking for sweeps. And lastly, you want to stay nimble post FOMC, right? You don't want to get too excited, right? You don't want to like see price spike up and then you try to chase that to the upside. And then what happens is price pulls right back down and stops you out. or vice versa. You don't want to see price push down and then you chase that sell. Price pushes back up to fill a gap and then it stops you out, right? You want to wait for the post FOMC news reaction. So if news pushes price up, look for it to continue up, right? Or if price pushes up, look for price to fake out and pull back down. Vice versa, if price pushes down, look for price to confirm the downside, or look for price to either fake out and pull back into the range. Right. Don't be a sucker. A lot of people are going to get suckered into this because everyone's going to make a big deal about the FOMC data, which is expected, but don't be one of those suckers that get suckered in. Lastly, talking about risk management reminders, avoid over leveraging into binary events, right? Don't like put your whole account at risk trying to trade this news event and pass your account unless that's what you're aiming for. If that's what you're trying to do, by all means do it. But if you want to take this properly and you don't want to just, YOLO your account, avoid over leveraging, right? Use smaller size or use less than normal size. Second, scale post data when market shows direction. Just like what I said earlier, basically don't get in right away. Wait for the confirmation. Vice versa the other way. Don't get in right away. Wait for that confirmation or fake out into the range. And lastly, this is a common thing that I try to remind you guys, patience will outperform aggression this week. Not just this week, but all throughout the month, right? We're in the summer market right now, so you don't want to do anything too crazy or anything that will like blow your account, right? You just want to be patient, look for those proper entries, look for those perfect entries, and get in when it's proper. So for example, like I said earlier, if price gets around this area right here, I'll look for some sweeps. I'm not really going to take any sweeps down the middle. Mainly going to look for some sweeps up here in my resistance levels or sweeps down here in my support levels. Other than that, I'm not really messing with the market down here down the middle. I'll look for MPSV2s, but I'm probably not going to enter them. So, all right, guys, if you found this breakdown valuable, smash that like button, subscribe for more YM outlooks, and comment below your trade bias for this wild Fed week. Stay sharp, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next market outlook video. See you guys then.